Hello children, I'm going to read you another classic tale, this one fairy story called Rumpelstiltskin. There was a miller once who was very poor, but he had one daughter more beautiful than any treasure. It happened one day that he came to speak to the king. To make himself look special, he said, "I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold." Now this king was very fond of gold. So he said to the miller, "That's a talent that would please me hugely. If your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her to my palace tomorrow and I'll put her to the test." When the girl was brought to him, he led her to a room that was full of straw and gave her a spinning wheel and said, "Set to work, you've all night ahead of you, but if you haven't spun all this straw into gold by dawn, you must die." Then he locked the door with his own hands and left her there alone. The poor miller's daughter sat there without a clue of what to do. She had no idea how to spin straw into gold, and she grew more and more frightened, started to cry. Suddenly, the door opened, and in came a little man who said, "Good evening, Mistress Miller. Why are you crying?" "Oh, I have to spin this straw into gold and I don't know how to do it." "What will you give me if I do it for you?" "My necklace." "Done." And the little man took the necklace, squatted down before the spinning wheel, and whir, 3 turns of the bobbin, it was full. And so he went on all night, and at sunrise all the bobbins were full of gold. First thing in the morning, in came the king, and when he saw all the gold, he was amazed and delighted. But the gold greed grew in his heart, and he had the miller's daughter taken to an even bigger room, filled up with straw, and told her to spin the lot into gold if she valued her life. She really didn't know what to do and was crying when the door opened, and in stepped the little man again, saying, "What will you give me if I spin all this straw into gold?" The ring from my finger." So the little man took the ring and whirred away at the wheel all the long dark night. And by dawn, each dull strand of straw was glistening gold. The king was beside himself with pleasure at the treasure, but his desire for gold still wasn't satisfied. He took the miller's daughter to an even larger room full of straw and told her, "You must spin all of this into gold tonight, and if you succeed, you shall be my wife." And the king said to himself, "She might only be the daughter of a miller, but I won't find a richer woman anywhere." As soon as the girl was alone, the little man appeared for the 3rd time and said, "What will you give me this time if I spin the straw into gold for you?" "I've got nothing left to give." "Then you must promise to give me the first child you have after you're a queen." Who knows what the future holds, thought the girl. And as she had no choice, she gave her word to the little man. At once he started to spin until all of the straw was gold. When the king arrived in the morning and saw everything just as he wished, he held the wedding at once, and the miller's beautiful daughter became a queen. After a year, she brought a gorgeous golden child into the world and thought no more of the little man. But one day, he stepped suddenly into her room and said, "Now give me what you've promised." The queen was truly horrified and offered him all the gold and riches of the kingdom. If only he would leave the child. But the little man said, "No, I'd rather have a living child than all the treasure in the world." At this, the queen began to sob so bitterly, the little man took pity on her and said, "I'll give you 3 days. If you can find out my name by then, you can keep your child." The queen sat up all night, searching her brains for a name like someone sieving for gold. She went through every single name she could think of. She sent out a messenger to ask everywhere in the land for all the names that could be found. On the next day, when the little man came, she recited the whole alphabet of names that she'd learnt, starting with Balthazar, Caspar, Melchior. But to each one, the little man said, "That isn't my name." On the second day, she sent servants all around the neighbourhood to find more names, and she tried all the strange and unusual ones on the little man. "Perhaps you're called Short Ribs, or Sheepshanks, or Lace Legs." But he always said, "That isn't my name." On the third day, the messenger came back and said, "I haven't managed to find a single new name. But as I approached a high mountain at the end of the forest, the place where fox and hare bid each other good night, I saw a small hut. And there was a fire burning outside it, and round the fire danced an absurd little man, and he hopped on one leg and bawled, 'Bake today, tomorrow brew, then I'll take the young queen's child. She will cry and wish she knew that Rumpelstiltskin's how I'm styled.'" You may imagine just how overjoyed the queen was when she heard the name. And when soon afterwards the little man stalked in and demanded, "Well, Mistress Queen, what's my name?" she started by saying, "Is it Jacob?" "No." "Is it Wilhelm?" "No." "Is it Grim?" "No." "Perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin." "The devil's told you! The devil's told you!" shrieked the little man. In his fury, he stamped his right foot so hard on the ground that it went right up into his waist. And then in a rage, he pulled at his left leg so hard with the very same hands he had spun the straw of gold that he tore himself into two. Tore himself in two. That's the end of that story.